Hello, CD Bestie, Aku Juno Mamba. Check out CreativeDisc.com, the #1 music website in Indonesia.
CD Bestie, welcome back to CreativeDisc exclusive interview with me, Luthfi. And right now we have a special guest. He's a DJ and his music is very, very soothing with a deep beat. Sometimes he can play house beat, but sometimes he can play deep house beat, but sometimes he can play ambient house beat. The things about unique in him, I think like he can make a deeply emotional electronic music and with the ambient sound. So without further ado, this is my guest today. This is Juno Mamba.
Hey.
How are you? How are you? How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. That was a good intro.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, I'm Juno Mamba. I'm a Filipino-Australian electronic artist. I've been making music for Juno Mamba as Juno Mamba since 2017. My first release was 2019. And I'm just getting ready to release my 4th EP in August.
Okay, let's talk about your new EP gonna be, but first thing first, why you pick your stage name Juno Mamba?
Sounds cool.
Why do?
So Juno, my first synthesizer was a Juno 6. So it's a Roland Juno 6. It's a really popular. It was made back in the 80s, I think. But it was one of my first synthesizers. Still one of my favorite synthesizers. So Juno, and then Mamba. I'm a fan of basketball, and so if anyone's familiar with basketball, Kobe Bryant's alter ego was the Mamba.
The big Mamba.
Yeah, so that was more from at the time I was reading his book, and I just liked the concept of the Mamba mentality, which was you almost turn into a different person. So for me, stepping in the studio for this project, I wanted to, essentially turn into a different person and not be so worried about what I'm creating. So it gives you a sense of confidence when you're writing music. For me, so that's where the name comes from.
Okay. You said that your first synthesizer is like Juno 1. Like when you buy that?
I bought that back in, I think, 2013.
Oh wow!
But I don't actually have it anymore. I sold it. But I have a software version of it.
Okay, so let's talk about music. Tell me about your newest single first, G2G. Why the name is like G2G?
Okay, so the name G2G, if anyone remembers, back in the day, early 2000s, one of the first online way of communicating was MSN Messenger. Well, that was the big time. So chatting to friends on MSN Messenger as a teenager, we would often abbreviate our messages to each other. And so abbreviations was G2G, which meant got to go.
Oh.
So like when you're ending the conversation and you have to leave, just put G, see you tomorrow. That was it. And so the song itself is inspired by that time of my life, being a teenager, in high school. You have no responsibilities, have no worries. And it was a good time.
Yeah. And I think like it's represent on your track the the let it go feeling. I think the free feeling. I think.
Yeah, I think definitely what I was trying to go for. I wanted it to feel nostalgic, and the video clip. If your listeners, if you want to listen to the music, if they listen to G2G, watch the video clip on YouTube, and it really, I think you really get a sense of that freedom.
Okay. So, before we talk about the EP, you're kind of like spoiler of your new EP. So, we are gonna talk about your love in electronic music. Tell me the first time you felt in love with the electronic music.
Probably 2008,
Oh wow.
2009, when I moved to Melbourne and started going to nightclubs. And
Okay.
there was a big electronic movement back then. It was mainly like, I don't know if you know the artists, the presets, which are
I know.
yeah, the presets,
Yes.
cut copy,
Oh my
van,
God, my favorite. My
yeah.
favorite.
So all these acts were starting to become, they were like the ones that were breaking through in Australia and really turning really putting highlighting electronic music in Australia. And so that was when I first was like, oh, what is this? This is really cool. And then I went to a few music festivals and watched the presets, and I was like, and cut copy, and I was like, damn, electronic music is cool. So that was my introduction to electronic music.
And you say that you like the presets, cut copy, and fancy fancy. And I think like all of the band have a similar music. I think like they play electronic with the rock meaning, with the rock leaning, I think.
Yeah, it was definitely like that. At that time, it was definitely like indie electronic.
Exactly.
So I mean, that's not the type of electronic music that I make, obviously, but that was my first moment when I heard electronic music in that way. Like, obviously, I'd heard electronic music growing up, like hearing the Prodigy, Chemical Brothers.
Oh wow.
Hearing those sort of things when you're watching, when like MTV and things like that used to exist.
Yes.
But as a kid, you don't really know that that's electronic music. Like, if you know what, just like cool music. But then as you get older, you start going to the nightclubs, you're like, oh, this makes sense. And you start to put the connection together, and it all starts to make sense. So yeah, that's how I got into electronic music.
This is interesting because you like the more electronic rock leaning sound in the electronica sound, but you making a deep beat music. I think like a deep house and more the ambience on your sound. I think like it's very stark different from what's your first artist that making you make electronic music. Why?
Yeah, well, that was my introduction to electronic music, but I didn't start making electronic music until years after that. And by the
Okay.
time I started to experiment with electronic music, I was listening to artists like Jamie XX, Float,
Oh.
Fortet,
Ooh.
uh, Bonobo. And so that's when I really was like, oh, I want to make electronic music. When I started listening to like those kind of artists and like Nicholas Jar, yeah, that's when I knew I wanted to write electronic music. But that was like,
Wow.
that would have been, I don't know, probably 5-6 years after I'd heard like the presets and things like that, you know?
Wow, I think like you found like a new discovery of founding floating points, Fortet, Jamie XX. I think it's like a new opening eyes for you. I think opener eye for me. I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That's a lot of makes sense. So, tell me the inspiration when you are making beat.
The inspiration, it really depends. Usually, when I write new music, I come up with a theme. So if I
Okay.
know I'm going to write an EP or a bigger body of work, I'll come up with an idea of what the theme is for the whole project. But I do that the same with if I just want to write one song, I'll come up with an idea, a theme, a meaning, a story, and then that way I can create a song that represents that theme for me. It's pretty rare that I open up my computer. I use Ableton. It's pretty rare that I open up Ableton and just start experimenting with sounds.
Oh, wow.
Like I do that as an exercise a lot, but if I want to write a song, I have to conceptualize the idea and the meaning, and I'm almost visualizing the song, and then I can fill in the blanks.
Oh, wow. But how can you convert the emotion into like the electronic music? Because I think like electronic music, when you convey the emotion into the electronic music, I think like it's sort of like switching from converting something analog to digital, in my opinion. How can you do that, in your opinion?
Well, for me, that just goes back to me thinking of a theme or a story, because a lot of the themes and stories that I want to write about is always, a lot of the time, is quite emotional. So I've personal experiences or things that I've seen, or just topics that I have a connection with. And so like when I come up with that theme or the story, I already know the emotion. And so when I write the melodies and the chord progression, the sounds themselves, like I'm already in that headspace of it being emotional. And so that's why like a lot of my music is emotional, because I'm already thinking of that. But a part of that as well is just the music that I listened to growing up. I always gravitated towards music that was emotional. And so even when it was not electronic music, like other genres, I always gravitated to the emotional aspect of it. So yeah.
So, in your opinion, what's so beautiful about the electronic music?
I think you can just get lost in electronic music. You can just put it on headphones or put it on in the car, put it on a stereo, and you can just what's the word? You can just daydream.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So like I recommend to anyone, just put on your headphones, listen to electronic music, and just go for a walk, or listen to it while you're commuting. Do it when the sun rises or sun sets, and it's just you just get lost.
I think I get the point that you said that, because I think like especially in instrumental electronic music, I think the instrumental part, I think the most beautiful part, I think the instrumental music in the electronic scene, I think can make you get lost, can make you like mind wandering, I think can open up so many imagination and a lot of adrenaline feeling, I think.
Yes, exactly. And you often like hear people at work concentrate. So you just put on music in the background, there's a steady beat. Often it's instrumental, so you're just listening to the beat, you're listening to the melodies, and then you really focus. That's what I love about electronic music.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's relate to me too, because sometimes when I go to work and felt sleepy, I listen to the Chemical Brothers and I felt waking up again.
Yeah, especially the Chemical Brothers. Yeah, they can do.
Yeah. Okay, so any favorite album from another musician that you like?
Favorite album? Something more recently, probably Floating Points' album Crush.
Ooh.
Like that. All-time favorite as well is Jamie XX In Color. So I'm excited about his
Me
new album.
too.
His new album is going to be out soon, so I'm excited about that.
Yes, me too. It's like 8 years in the 9 years in the making. Oh my god.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
something that's not electronic, but something that's sort of recent is an artist from America called Dijon.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so his album Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a really cool. I don't know. I don't know what genre it is. It reminded me of similar to like Frank Ocean, but it's
Ah.
more raw. It's
Mm,
not so highly produced. A lot of it was live recording, so there's this
mm,
raw emotion to it.
mm.
But the album I listened to a lot last year and the year before. Um, and then actually the last 1975 album.
Oh wow, being funny in a foreign language.
Yeah, I listened to that so many. That was, I think that's one of their best albums.
What's your favorite track on there? Ah, it is
Oh, yeah,
tough question.
all of it, man. I think, hang on. I need to get the
Ha,
album up.
ha,
I never remember the titles.
ha,
Um,
like
oh man, I'm looking at it now. It's all
mm,
amazing. Like, um, looking for somebody to love, heart of the
yeah,
end,
I love the band.
oh Caroline.
Oh,
Uh,
Caroline.
I think all I need to hear is that the slow one or like the really soft one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You pick almost all this slow songs on that album.
I don't know. I really like a lot of their music is emotional.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, 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 yeah.
but yeah, that all I need to hear. That just was like crazy.
Oh my god. Because my favorite is like happiness.
Yeah.
And I'm in love with you is very, 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 very interesting tracks from them. I think
Mhm.
like that two tracks is really, really painting my mood in the last years.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, last 2 years, I think. Yeah, last two
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
2022.
That album like a lot.
Yeah,
It,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like
Mm.
it's funny because I've started to meet other electronic producers here in Australia,
Hmm?
and it's everyone secretly listens to them. But like for me, it was never a secret. I love this band. Like all my friends know that it's just like, oh yeah, uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
loves 1975. And it's funny because one of my favorite electronic artists is Daniel Avery,
Hmm?
and I saw that
Oh,
Daniel Avery collaborated with Matt Healy.
yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
I think he one of the producer of the being funny in foreign language. I think.
really.
Yeah, I think. I kind of forget, but after Jack Antonoff, after Daniel Avery didn't finish, Jack Antonoff chipped in to making the project done. I kind of forget the part of which one is correct.
Yeah,
Let me
okay,
see. Let
that's
me see
interesting.
my Wikipedia first.
And I've
Oh, bukan. No, no, no. It's Daniel Avery. I think like not on the album. I think kind of forget.
I think it's the other way. I think Matt
Oh
Healy
yeah,
on Daniel Avery
yeah, 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 yeah.
like that. But the drummer of 1975, I saw that he's recently launched a new record label, and it's very much club electronic music.
Oh wow.
Uh, so yeah, I'm excited for that
Mm.
because I think on the last album there's a track uh, on the last album. So
Uh,
deep 1975 rabbit hole right now. Uh, uh, there's a song called where is it?
human tuh ya? Eh,
No, it's called How to Draw
how to
Petrichor.
draw.
Petrichor, and it's like it actually reminded me. It's very electronic,
Hmm.
um, and it kind of reminded me of um, some sections reminded me of like John Hopkins, and I love John Hopkins.
Ooh, nice.
So yeah, sorry anyone who's listening that we just went down a huge 1975 rabbit hole.
It's all right, it's all right, it's all right, it's all right, dude. Okay, so let's go to the next question. This is the last two questions for this session of interview. The first one is, mention 5 things we didn't know about Juno Mamba. Let's go.
5 things. I was born in the Philippines and moved to Australia when I was 5. My mum is a classical pianist. I'm the youngest of 5. I love basketball.
Okay.
And I love the 1975.
Yeah, I'm in love with the 1975. Oh my God. So, the last question is, can you give us a teaser about your newest EP?
The newest EP, Cold Rush, is my best EP. It's the best work I've done. My favorite made. It is dedication. It's dedicated to my hometown of Ballarat here in Australia, where I grew up. So it's a love letter of all my happy memories of being a teenager. There's 7 songs on there, so it's a pretty big EP. And the next single to come off the EP will be out at the end of the month.
Oh wow, we're gonna see it.
Yeah, so it's so G to G like slowed the tempo down. This next one slow things down even more. So it's going to be very emotional, very ethereal and dreamy.
Oh wow,
very ambient. But it's one of my favorite songs.
Wow, it's got 75 BPM or less.
It's not that slow, but it feels slow.
Okay, we will see. It's below 100, right? The BPM.
I'll tell you. Where is it? It's actually not slow at all. It's
interesting.
It's actually house tempo.
Okay, interesting.
But the beat, it's not 4 to the floor, so it feels slow.
Okay.
So it's like, it almost feels like half tempo.
Wow. Wow. That's very interesting. And we're gonna stoked to hear it. We are gonna waiting for you to release it by the end of the month. And that's a wrap for this interview. Thank you so much, Juno, for this interview. It's a really, really great pleasure to meet you. And if you want to hear all the Juno Mamba music, you can search on all the streaming platform. It's called Juno Mamba, JUN